You're listening to Rodney Rogers Outdoors Radio, where we turn it upside down and look at the outside from the inside out. It's safe, it's legal, and we're having a blast. So put your shoes on, my friend, because we're going outdoors.
Welcome to Rodney Rogers Outdoors. I am Rodney Rogers. That right there is my partner, Coach Ethan Crine.
Did you know, Rodney, did you know squirrels cannot vomit?
I did not.
I've been doing some studying.
Nice. I'm glad you studied because there's going to be a squirrel quiz later. Mike the man himself. Mike Coy, how are you, brother?
I'm good.
This is our 1 hour vacation tonight. It's going to be an exciting show tonight, so we're going to get our intro out of the way pretty quick. We got an exciting caller.
There's a lot going on.
I done lost my train of thought. If you want to...
Oh, speaking of trains, I rode the train this morning.
To work?
Yeah.
How'd you like it? Is it bad in the morning? Is it crowded?
You know, my wife dropped me off a half hour earlier than I normally would have went, so I was able to get a seat. It gets busy. After about 6:30, it gets busy.
Okay.
But crying kids. There was a crying kid.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing up first of all. That's probably why he was crying.
I'm thinking, I cry that early.
You know, but actually I realized that when a child is so small, any slight discomfort is the worst experience, literally the worst experience of his life so far.
Absolutely.
So no matter what, no matter what's bothering him, that is the worst thing that's ever happened to him.
Ever, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to get worse.
So I would cry too. If that's the worst thing that ever happened to you, you got to give him some grace. Sorry.
And
Come
old
on,
people
right.
on airplanes. It's the same. It happens, both ways. You can shoot us questions tonight. We're going to have a Ron Wilson on the show tonight. We'll be talking about that here shortly at hashtag RRO. We will be taking a call from him, and he's pretty much going to hopefully talk through the whole show.
Just say Ron, that's Joe's brother.
Joe. I'm sorry. Ron Wilson.
Because we were just talking about Ron.
See,
We're easily derailed.
We are.
The train is derailed already.
This is like adult attention deficit disorder at the nth degree. It's just like we're right off the cliff.
Say Sam.
Sam.
Don't say Sam.
Don't. Okay. So we'll be talking to Joe Wilson tonight. Now, Joe Wilson, just to give you a little bit. Am I going too forward too fast?
No, this is going to go really quick, Rodney.
Right. So we're going to have Joe Wilson on from the World Championship. I want to say gator wrestling, but he don't wrestle gators.
That's next year.
Squirrel Cook-Off. Joe emailed us a couple of weeks ago, and out of the blue, we didn't even know. First of all, we had a listener in Arkansas. We know Ryan drives through every once in a while. I think, he's out in Kansas, so I'm sure he. Don't geographically put me on the spot here. I'm not sure if Ryan drives through out of Kansas or what. I know Arkansas is the. Kansas is the.
What are you saying, Rodney? Spit it out.
I'm done, Mike.
We got no time for this nonsense.
We need you to call Joe because I'm out of.
No, let's talk about some. You know what?
Yes.
You posted a video this week that I thought would be
did.
interesting to
Let's put that up. So
to humiliate people, real time.
if you follow us, and my question has always been, will a blowfish bite you?
Yeah.
And my cousin was nice enough to put that theory to the test. And you know what? God bless the pioneers.
Should we roll it?
Let's
Just
roll
do it.
that
Here
thing.
we go.
And I'll narrate it as it goes through. I was not there. The date at the bottom is wrong. It was this past weekend. And there's my nephew, little Nico, there. Oh, okay. We got some footage here. So we'll just listen. Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah. It's not that exciting, but.
Okay. This is a giant blowfish, by the way. Might add. And it's at that moment. Can you hear him in there going, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go? The fish is just doing what fish do, Mike.
Hey, don't put your finger in the water. There was a shark in here.
And it bit through his fingernail like you don't even know. I mean, it pile drove him. I don't care how many times I watch it. It never gets old. You can always find that on our website. And, of course, we threw that up on our YouTube channel anyway. We love seeing people in pain, especially when they do stupid stuff. I mean, what's funny is you can see the fish go by him. He's one of the first that the fish goes by. and then it floats through all these people.
Well, you're saying going by, but it wasn't going by. They were playing badminton with this thing, right?
They
And
were
playing volleyball with the.
right. And it didn't even look like a real blowfish. I mean, this is so. And I asked him, Mike. I did. I asked him. I said, "Now, first of all, I said this blowfish bit you. You know, in those situations when you really don't know that, because he had never seen a blowfish like this before. So a lot of stuff goes through your mind when you get bit and they penetrate you like that. One, we've always heard blowfish are extremely poisonous, which they are. They're extremely deadly. If you eat them, you know, eat the wrong part. So his first thought was, oh my God, you know, what just happened? I just got bit. What's my next step? In the video, you can see him smiling and laughing, but in the back of his mind, he was actually pretty stressed out.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, uh-oh, you know, just waiting for the old proverbial Coast
Where
Guard.
was that at?
This was in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they were in super clear water. He said they caught like a nurse shark, and I mean, just swimming down and grabbing it kind of thing.
That was funny though.
Anytime you do stuff like that, you ask for
Thanks
trouble.
for sharing that and let me exploit that slightly.
So the fun thing, go ahead.
You know what? ICAST is coming up.
ICAST is
We're like
coming.
4 weeks. I guess it's a month away.
Yeah, it's a month away.
It's the second week in July, maybe.
Yeah, the 12th. Oh, that's right, Mike.
Yeah, so it's coming up quick. And the reason I say that is because my inbox is starting to get populated with a lot of vendors.
Which is pretty cool stuff.
It is cool. And I wanted to run one by it. But yeah, a lot of all the whatnots and visit us at this booth. And here's our YouTube video. So I don't know if you've seen this or not, Rodney. We haven't talked about this. But I want to get your take on this.
Okay.
I don't even remember what the name of it is. But let me just roll this video.
Yeah, roll the video.
And get
Let's see what we got.
Your take on this here. Here we go.
Wow, I like it.
So it's the Roundabout.
It's the Roundabout. I have seen this.
You really have?
I have seen this. Yes, I have. And I'm hoping they got it. Obviously, they're at the show because we got the emails.
They are at the show. But is this not inspired by his son's wading pool in the backyard?
It's got to be. Because let me tell you what I've done. I invented that, by the way. I just want you to know. Nick,
Okay, Rodney.
The one that got bit by a blowfish. We used to put fruit tubs in a pond that was just down our road. We would the orange grove that was there. We would steal their plastic fruit tubs.
Okay.
And then fish out of it. Now they were round, so you couldn't paddle it. If you paddled on the right, it would spin around in circles.
Yeah, that makes sense. It had a motor on it.
Yeah,
so
so
like
that's got a motor, and I'm dying to see the bottom of the boat. I want to see how the bottom of the boat is designed. It's got to have some kind of bow to it. Some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Vein, or I'll think of it. But yeah, the bottom. I'm dying to see that at the show. I could see the potential use there. I mean, I'd have to really.
Yeah, I mean, there's their website, and they've got like a woodsman version. I don't know if that's I don't know what that is.
That would be cool for a duck blind. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. That's what it
Yeah.
is. That's the word. 1,095. These things start at.
That's not bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was.
A Roundabout. I mean, that's interesting.
I like it. It has
Up
a
to
lot of
$2,500
potential.
bucks.
Yeah,
It
yeah, it has a lot of potential.
Okay, so you
I
didn't-
mean,
you're not poo-pooing it. I wasn't sure. If
no.
you poo-pooed
I
that or
mean,
not.
I'm a little skeptical on the round thing. You know, it being round. So that's about it. You know, I'm dying to see.
Wouldn't you be slightly afraid you'd be laughed at?
I would actually, but if it works, man, it works. You know what I'm saying? It's just how I roll. Yes, Todd. I think we could sneak you into iCast. By the way, Todd just sent us a message. You think you can sneak me into iCast? Yes, I think we can. Potentially.
Potentially. Well, you know what else I want to do, Rodney? Because this is going to catch up. We're going to have our buddy Joe call us real soon. I wanted to run just a little video piece before he even
Yes,
brought
let's do that.
brought him on the air. And maybe I'm just overzealous with video right now because we figured out we can
We've got
play,
this.
play
We
video
can
now.
do this. This is awesome.
Hey, but Give me a break. You know what I'm saying here?
I like it. When you
Okay.
get technology, we gotta let you go. Let me talk during it.
That's
Is it-
right.
Here we go.
Fried squirrel. But here at the World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off, that's just the tip of the squirrel's tail.
Baja squirrel tacos.
Umado on polenta with stuffed bell peppers.
Squirrel empanadas.
Blackened ground squirrel.
5-spice seared squirrel. And a sushi hand roll.
That's just a small sample of what was cooking on Bentonville's downtown square at this year's World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off.
We had some real creative stuff, and you know, it's hard to prove to people that this isn't just a source of meat. This is a culinary treasure that we're missing out on in our state. You know, hunting is way down for squirrel hunting. I'm really here to promote it. I think we did a great job today.
Joe Wilson of Bentonville put together the first World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off in 2012. Capitalizing on the state's abundance of squirrels, Wilson wanted to encourage more small game hunting and take advantage of the trend towards sustainable local food sources.
I wanted to promote small game hunting. I wanted to promote the use of wild game. And if we could use squirrel, which is our smallest mammal that we're out hunting, we can do this with everything from our big game to our fowl, ducks, turkeys. It's real important to me that the public knows that wild game is a sustainable source of meat. It's a great source of meat, and it's probably the healthiest thing you can put on your dinner table.
Research in Arkansas and around the country shows that the recent uptick in hunting participation stems from a desire for organic, sustainable protein.
We survey people all the time on reasons why they do or don't hunt. One of the things that's increasingly making a comeback is people hunting for food, just wanting a low-impact, sustainable source of protein.
Protein was plentiful on the Bentonville Square. 34 teams from 6 states competed this year, and thousands of people crowded into the streets to sample the team's imaginative squirrel dishes. A sequestered 14-judge panel tasted samples from the teams and awarded this year's top prize to Bud and Bones, a barbecue team from Pea Ridge. Squirrel was the main course, but the side dishes included liberal portions of humor and good times.
Our event is ranked by USA Today as one of the top 10 culinary events in the United States. And we didn't get that just by having a bunch of rednecks out cooking squirrels. I mean, we did it by bringing everybody. And so what's unique is we have everything from chefs to barbecue teams to just your camp cook coming out here, laying their heart to it and providing the public with a sample of wild game.
And there you have it. That just made me hungry by that.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully that sets the kind of the flavor of what we're in for tonight. You know, Joe Wilson is the founder of this, and
So
I think
I
that
was
carries his
thinking,
personality. I have a really strong feeling.
if we go up there, I might not be able to be a judge. I'll tell you why. They sequestered the judge.
Oh, they put tie wraps on you.
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
No, they put you in a funny hat and make you dance. Wait a minute, that's gesture. I knew it was something like that. They put you. We got a call coming in. Let's see. It's from Bentonville, Arkansas, Mike.
That's weird.
Thank you for calling Roger Rogers Outdoors. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say we got Joe Wilson on the line.
Man, you nailed it. You hit it, even in the dark.
How are you, my man?
I'm doing positively great. Ready to talk about squirrel and preach the gospel of squirrel right here on your radio show.
Man, I can't. Mike and I have been absolutely ecstatic about this. We were going to have you on last week, and then we had an event, and then now we got you, Joe. We actually just played the video. I don't know if you got to see it, but that you got up talking about the squirrel. So Joe, I mean, here we are. We're going to set the stage. We set the stage for you, I think, and everybody in Florida is wanting to know what in the world is a World Championship Squirrel Cook-Off.
Well, USA Today ranked us a top 10 culinary event. We've been in the New York Times. We've been on Bizarre Foods, front page of the Wall Street Journal, and CBS Sunday Morning. So it must be something good. Either that or people like making fun of me, one or the other. But the World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off is a culinary event that showcases one of God's greatest creations, and that would be the squirrel. And we figured out about 5 years ago if we could take the smallest legal mammal that we could hunt, the squirrel, and we could showcase that into this culinary challenge, then anybody could take any game meat that's legal for us to harvest and feed their family. See, I have a real hard feeling with people saying there's a trash fish or that's not fit to eat, but yet you go out and harvest it. So I like to showcase this squirrel, which, is 100% organic. It's all natural. It's no GMOs. It's free range. And I call it tree to table. And
actually, you had a couple analogies that I'd never heard. Tree bacon was one of them. I mean, it just kept going on, and I thought, oh yeah, I see a ton of T-shirts in your future.
Oh yeah, man, we got tree bacon, limb chicken. I've been calling it the tofu of the woods. And this tofu of the woods deal, the reason why I would say that is because squirrel meat has the ability to absorb flavor. And so anything we add to it, it can soak it up. So if you want to go Asian and add some fish sauce, oyster sauce, teriyaki, whatever, it's going to go ahead and it's going to penetrate that meat real quick and give you that flavor. If you'd like to go Italian, it'll do the same thing. So it's really, hey, I don't want to make this out to be something special, this squirrel meat. It is good. But there's a lot of good game meat out there that people, they'll let it sit in the freezer for 2 years and then throw it out because they say it's no good. Well, here's the deal. Everything we catch or harvest, we've spent a lot of money in that. Like a marlin, they say a marlin fish, it takes $60,000 worth of sportsmen out fishing for every marlin that's caught. Well, it's not nearly that much for a squirrel. I'll say it's probably about $2.99 or something. But if you think about a deer, by the time you get that four-wheeler and get it gassed up and put 6 or 7 plastic boxes out in the woods and 8,000 tons of corn and put beets down and everything else, hey, you got a pretty nice house right out there to harvest that deer. You should never eat wild game meat with a plastic fork. I'm just saying. You need to whoop out the fine silver and carry your old pinky out on that sweet tea because this stuff here is a moneymaker. So I think you gentlemen brought me on the radio today to tell you why I'm talking in Florida all the way from Razorback country here in Arkansas.
Yes,
well,
sir.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get somebody from the state of Florida to take this big old heavy trophy back from Arkansas and become a world champion at something. I've been to a lot of people's houses and I've heard a lot of people brag about their coon dog or whatever. Some of them even brag about their wife, but I hear these folks bragging all the time and I wonder, well, how many of these people have ever been a world champion? And I know there's only been 5 teams of world champions currently as a world champion squirrel cook-off guy. So I think that this year, this trophy travels south and travels east and maybe to that far east side of Florida. I'm not sure, but somebody in Florida needs to put this trophy up on their mantle because I could promise you, even your worst enemy is going to walk into the house. He's going to see that trophy, and he's going to want to ask some questions.
Exactly right. It's funny the irony of one thing. I work at Universal Studios, and there's a chef that went on one of our camping trips. Andrew, right. I don't know if you remember Andrew. He's a chef out at Universal. So him and I got to talking one day, even before I met you, about 4 weeks ago, and he started telling me about this way he cooks squirrel. So, of course, he listens to our show and he watches. And today he was like, all right, And I said, listen tonight.
Listen
and
tonight.
Joe's gonna
Tonight's
tell
tonight.
you
Yeah.
everything you need to
Well,
know.
Well, let's go over some of the past recipes since he's listening. And you know, we don't have special effects and all that stuff like y'all do there at Universal. But what we do have is we've had this deal. The first year was really a whole bunch of your traditional squirrel dishes. And when I say traditional, I'm talking about your squirrel and dumplings, your fried squirrel, your squirrel and gravy, things like that, gumbos and whatnot.
Yeah, your easy old-time recipes.
You bet. And you know what? You can't go wrong because they're all tasting good. But the second year, we started getting some people who were dialing this deal in. And they found out that by taking the squirrel and making it into small pieces, either by grinding or dicing small, you were going to get tender real quick.
Right.
And also open up this meat to really soak in that flavor. When we talk about butchering a squirrel, you've got your hindquarters, your hind portion, you got your saddle, and then you got the front shoulders. The front shoulders having the least amount of meat. The saddle actually having the back strap and some ribs that this ain't like Chili's. You know, you ain't gonna get a lot off of them ribs there.
Exactly.
And then the backside of this guy, you're gonna have the bulk of your meat. So by taking a real sharp knife and going through and whittling off this meat off the bone there, you're gonna get enough meat to start building a recipe. And so since this grinding and this dicing has come up, that opened us up to squirrel meatloaf and squirrel meatballs, squirrel boudin, smoked sausage. This year we had 2 people come in with squirrel sushi, and it was pretty, but I don't know what it tasted like.
Answer my next question.
We've had squirrel empanadas, a lot of Mexican dishes, a lot of Asian dishes, squirrel, cashew squirrel. But what we found is that a lot of these judges are so used to eating everything savory through this whole ordeal that, hey, some of these teams started going sweet. And so one team last year made a squirrel praline ice cream.
Really?
Which, it was vanilla ice cream. They took the squirrel meat, they candied it with brown sugar and made basically a praline out of it. And then they put in those pecans inside there, made a homemade ice cream as a side dish. The judges' eyes lit up because they didn't know what was about to happen to them. And believe it or not, you know, a side dish is worth 25 points. It was a 25-point side dish.
Wow.
And
nailed it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You know, I'm here to brag about my passion. My passion is, of course, small game hunting, squirrel hunting, but it's also cooking. And, you know, I cater for part of my living. I'm familiar with how to cook a lot of things. And that's why I started showcasing this game meat, because so many times, you know, I go over to a friend's house, he opens up the freezer and he has no more room for another piece of anything. And he's just letting it go to waste.
Right.
And so let's show everybody why we're out there doing it. I mean, it's fun to catch and it's fun to hunt, but it's also amazing to feed your community, feed your family, your neighbors with something that you worked hard at and spent a lot of money. So what do you got for me?
So you absolutely said it right. And I know when we do our camping trips every year, and Mike will tell you that, you know, I go elk hunting, of course I deer hunt and all that stuff. And I usually try to serve a protein that I have harvested. I know one year I did elk marsala for our camping trip. And Mike, would you say that was a pretty good dish? That
Yeah, it was very good.
And a lot of people don't know that you can use that protein the same way that you do other. You know, it may take a few times to get the hang of your seasonings and your tasting, but I think that you hit it right on the head. And I got to tell you, this is absolutely brilliant what you've done and what you've started. And man, I told Mike, I said, when you emailed me and we looked you up, we were like, as a matter of fact, I sent Mike your email and I said, you know, Mike, we just hit gold.
Well, this year is
excuse me.
This year is sponsored by was it Kenya Traps?
Yeah, and this is kind of, Hey, the thing that I'm doing, although we get tons of publicity, and I talk to people all across the country and for that matter, the world. Over in England, squirrel is sold at the grocery store.
Really?
You can go to the store. You could buy a packaged squirrel. It's a nuisance animal over there. The gray squirrel was brought over and really took off and started running off all of their native squirrels. So they have professional hunters, trappers who go out and harvest them. They sell them at the store. So, my big sponsor this year is Kenya Traps, and they're out of British Columbia, Canada. It's so hard for me to gain sponsorship because, A, we're harvesting Chip and Dale and the rest of the little cute little animals from the cartoon. I don't think Nabisco. Yeah, Nabisco doesn't want a part of that. And,
a valid point there.
So, there's not a lot of TV shows that showcase small game, and that's kind of led to the decline of what we all grew up learning how to hunt, at least older generations. I'm going to say if you're 40 years old and older, you started off chasing rabbits and squirrels and all of that. If you're younger than that, and hey, I get really tired of hunters picking on other hunters or fishermen picking on other fishermen because, if your target species is bass, a cat fisherman's dirty to you.
Right.
Or if you're an elk hunter, by God, you need to be a deer hunter or whatever. So I support everybody who supports the outdoors. And one thing that I know is over the last 20 years, the decline of squirrel hunting has been one of the most drastic deals in the industry. Here in my state of Arkansas, used to be 87% of all hunting licenses were sold to people who would small game hunt. Currently, it's about 17%.
Wow.
And so if you think about what that's doing to our youth, that means that dads and uncles and moms and grandpas aren't taking their kids out squirrel hunting. And they're teaching those kids how to, let's say, shoot, but not necessarily hunt.
Right.
And I think, we all support children operations and children's groups. And to watch a kid go out and be stealthy in the woods and stalk and figure out what's going to make them itch and maybe forage while they're in the woods and find mushrooms and berries and things like that. I think skills that we all learned. You can't get that out of a big old box stand, and you're eating Little Debbie treats and drinking a Dr. Pepper and waiting for something to eat some old golden acorns laying there on the ground.
Exactly.
So I think it's something that we owe our children, we owe our youth, that, hey, let's show them how we become such great men. And a lot of that dealt with us spending those hours out there, getting tick and chigger bites, running through the woods all the time. And it kept us out of trouble. I tell folks all the time, you get your child addicted to hunting and fishing, they won't have any money to get addicted to anything else.
You absolutely hit it on the head. And I know I talked to some Salt Strong, some salt fishing guys that are over here. They got a big deal over here that they do. And I did an interview on their show, and we hit it on the head when we said that children these days basically have outdoor deficiency disorder. We hem them up in a house, and we don't take them outside, and we wonder why they're bouncing off the walls. Well, they have natural curiosity, and I'll tell you, the squirrel hunting is the cure for that curiosity because of the method and how you hunt squirrels. I know it's definitely where I cut my teeth in the hunting world, and I was absolutely a squirrel poobah.
Well, I've heard about your technique with the slingshot and all that, and here's the only cure to this deal is the secret to any man's mind is really through his stomach. I mean, if we've got good food in front of us, we're going to be able to appreciate stuff. You may not like a certain culture or whatever, but you'll eat their food. And so,
wow, truer words have never been spoken.
Never been spoken. That's exactly right.
So if I could butter people into what I'm trying to get them going on by good food, hey, that's the best thing going for me, because I will tell you, Sportsman's Channel, the Outdoor Channel, all of these channels on TV, they're not running shows showing us learning small game hunting. They're showing shows focusing on us spending $10,000 to go to South Texas and shoot a big monster deer.
Right. You're exactly right.
And so there's no money in what I do. I mean, a kid could get by with a pair of tennis shoes. He could smell like bubble gum. He could go out with a camouflage shirt with, God forbid, a Florida gator on there. And,
Exactly.
and a pocket full of 22 shells. And it could be a single shot. My dad gave me a handful of bullets, and I had to prove where every one of them went that day. So that meant that if I missed, by God, I was going to have to find a piece of lead or try to get a double.
Exactly.
So, I appreciate y'all's support and having me on, and just being able to talk about it to some people who probably think, the only time they see people squirrel hunting, it's with a 275/65 on the front of their pickup truck.
Right.
It's one of these things they're running across the road. But we've got to start proving to people that this is valid, proving the benefits. A lot of game and fish across the country have started opening up seasons earlier. I know y'all's season starts in October, and maybe and that's probably a month earlier than it used to be. Yep. There's really no need for that. Squirrels, especially in a climate that y'all have, where you're not having harsh winters that are taking them away, you should be able to hunt those things all but a couple months a year.
We used to have a year-round season on those. Used to. Now it's been years since we've had that.
I wonder what the deal was. I mean, I wonder why they took it away. I was just on the radio in New Orleans the other day, and he was talking about they opened up a spring hunt and had very close to zero participation.
Oh, wow.
And I just, maybe I need to start selling some sort of gimmick, like the Squirrel Call 2000 with the LED light and all this stuff. Have a chick in a bikini riding around on a lawnmower selling.
I'll tell you what, if you put the Squirrel 2000 with a chick in a bikini and LEDs, Joe, you got yourself a winner.
I think we could throw an LED on dang near anything and people would buy it.
Oh, say it's got an LED.
We need, and if it strobes a little bit, boom, I'll buy it too. But I need support. I need people to go out and say, hey, squirrel season's coming. I know that one deer will help fill the freezer, and it's going to take 40 of these squirrels to put a dent in that top shelf. But let's take out a group of kids. Let's take them out there, show them some woodsmanship, show them some skills, and show them the fact of the matter, it's the old school deal of aim small, miss small. So we're shooting at small targets. Mm-hmm. We're becoming marksmen. And it's the easiest thing to do. Y'all got great hardwoods in your part of the country that you could use. You got pine trees that, these squirrels will get up and they'll just tear up some old pine cones. In the spring of the year, when you start getting berries, squirrels are eating berries. Unfortunately, like I say, you guys are October to
March.
What is it? March.
March. Yep.
I could almost imagine you're not going to get snowed out from going squirrel hunting in Florida, are you?
You're pretty solid on that assumption there.
But
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Joe.
Sorry, sir. Well, I'm the president of Squirrels Unlimited. Squirrels Unlimited sounds kind of like a gimmick, but it was a way for us to get online there, get a bunch of squirrel hunters around. We could chit-chat across the country, brag on stuff, guns and dogs and calls and cooking and everything. And Squirrels Unlimited doesn't cost anybody a dime. You could go on there and you could get a free membership and just start having conversation. If maybe you're going to go to Kansas and you'd like to try to squirrel hunt when you're in Kansas, there's guys there. Or, hey, Canada. We've got guys in Canada.
Is there a correlation between the Squirrels Unlimited and the Cook-Off, or is it just, outside of being about squirrels, but because I know you're involved in both?
Well, Squirrels Unlimited, I'm the president of it. I have been for 4 years, I guess, and going on 5. Yeah, there is. I mean, anything that deals with hunting squirrel, I'm a part of. And, right now there's probably 4 or 5 guys across the country that are really involved in this. There's Mr. John Odell from Arizona. You're going to get a kick out of it. I could hear it coming, but John Odell, he was the one who, he actually harvested the Grand Slam of squirrel. And the Grand Slam of squirrel is he got every species of squirrel in the United States. And I believe it was 18.
Wow.
There's Clifton Jackson. He's from the state of Arkansas. The Jackson Squirrel Rifle is named after him. It's from Cooper Arms. It's the most expensive .22 squirrel gun you can buy. We've got Mr. Black from Tennessee, avid small game guy, biologist, and pretty much myself. And us 4 guys, we're out there. We're beating it down, trying to tell people the importance of it. And like I say, game and fish departments all across the country know this. They know that it's a link that we could get our youth involved. If we lose a generation of hunters, we will lose our rights to hunt. There will be no one there to fight for it. And so let's stand up and keep these kids going because, hey, I'm pretty sure you, me, and everybody else who's listening to this has been pretty good people. I've never went hunting with a bad guy. I hunt with great people. And so I know you guys just went through tragedies. I bet you old boy who did that didn't eat bacon for breakfast and he never went squirrel hunting.
That's it.
I
want to go with you on this one. I absolutely.
So
some deep truth in there.
Let's fight together for this deal. I know, hey, I'm sending out a special offer to get y'all to come out and judge part of this squirrel cook-off. And I hope you get sponsored by Rolaids or Tums or something like that. And come out here and swallow a big old gulp of that pink stuff and lather your old intestines up and then just go for about 40 dishes real quick. And and shake and rattle and all that whenever you get done. You're really going to have to get this stuff out of your system quickly.
I will tell you this, Mike and I are actually in the works of planning on coming up there. So I will rely on you to point us in the direction of a hotel or whatever the case may be.
Or a campground or something.
Or something of the nature. But we are absolutely excited to get up there. And, of course, if you got room on the judging table, if not, we're completely okay with just
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you. If you mentioned about, obviously, if there's people in Florida would sincerely be interested in cooking up some squirrel chili or whatever their recipe is, give us the breakdown on how they do that. I mean, obviously, they can go to your website, right, to get some basic information. But what are the guidelines and for somebody who would actually want to enter?
Well, that's a great question. Hey, to make this cook-off amazing, we couldn't limit stuff to just, hey, squirrel gumbo. We wanted to give people the ability just to spread their wings and do amazing dishes. We've had over 140 distinct recipes over the last 5 years. And the way we've done this is we say that 80% of the meat used in your dish must be squirrel meat. That's allowing 20% for fats and other. And, squirrel's extremely lean. So sometimes you need to put some beef fat or pork fat in there, especially building a sausage or a hamburger or something out of this meat. Other than that, you have 2.5 hours at a minimum to produce your entree and your side dish. Now, your entree is going to be worth 75 points. Those 75 points are made up of taste, tenderness, use of squirrel, overall appearance, and then what you thought of the dish as a whole. And so each one of those deals is kind of what we would all base our ordinary meals off of. Hey, squirrel has a tendency to be tough. So if you can break it down and make it tender in that 2.5 hours, you're a pretty quality chef or cook. Your side dish should, it should blend with your entree. You know, you don't want to do a taco and then your side dish be whatever, you know, an Italian dish. You want to go ahead and have it like I was at a restaurant, and my side accommodates my entree. So 2.5 hours, you may have up to 4, because our judges get a new dish every 5 minutes. Our judges are made up of true culinary people. You know, I've got chefs, and I've had James Beard quality people on the judging panel before. I had a chef, Elise Pasquale. She come from the Tuscany of Italy to be a judge.
Oh, wow.
So we make up our judging panel. So you're at a quality cook-off. You're getting judged by quality judges, and you're going to win a quality prize this year. We're going to give you $1,000, and I'm thinking about giving a big platinum album like Britney Spears or Michael Jackson would have in their house.
Exactly.
Because I think that'd be really funny to win a World Championship Squirrel Cook-Off and get a platinum album out of the deal. So
I like the way you think.
So the 2.5 hours, hey, we inspect all the meat prior to cooking, make sure that someone's not trying to slide a rabbit in there or something else, some old yard bird or something. Right. And we inspect the meat, make sure that it's at temperature. It cannot be marinated pre-cook-off. Now, it could be soaked in salt water, but marinating is not acceptable. We ask that you prep your entire meal on site, so that's slicing, dicing, doing all of that.
Okay.
That gives the public the ability to actually see this happening. Used to, it was a 2-person team. We raised it to a 3-person team because that third person can stand there and he could have conversation with the public.
That's cool.
We average between 7,000 and 10,000 people day of the event.
Wow.
This isn't brisket. We can't go to the grocery and buy 10,000 pounds of it.
Right.
We run about 1,500 to 2,000 squirrels through the cook-off. And, yeah, that's some serious tree bacon. So
that's a lot of 22 shells.
It is. And so the public's, it's free to the public. We've got live music. We've got game and fish is there, kind of, you know, trying to get people involved. We've got people selling calls and squirrel cleaning contraptions that they come up with. We've got a great farmer's market going on at the same time. This is definitely kid-friendly, but the public's encouraged to try stuff. And so if you're coming from Florida, you probably have some distinct game meat or dishes that Floridians like to eat. You can cook that in advance, and you can dish that out to the public. I don't expect you to give your turn-in dish to these people.
Right.
But we're encouraged to feed people while they're there.
That's great.
There's great competitors. We have KCBS guys. We have state cook-off guys. I mean, we've got camp cooks, hippies, grandmas, aunts, professional chefs, you name it.
Cool.
We've got those folks out cooking. So yeah, it's a great deal. I mean, once you get to Northwest Arkansas, we have some excellent smallmouth fishing. We have great trout fishing, rainbow and brown trout. We got walleye in Beaver Lake. It's squirrel season whenever y'all come. And of course, everybody would like to travel all the way to Arkansas and see a Walmart. We've got lots of those.
Those are stacked up everywhere, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, we're home base. The Walmart home office is here. We've got some amazing museums. And you know, I tell people, when you come to Northwest Arkansas, just bring 2 pair of underwear. And whenever those ones get dirty, just go on home. And because if not, if you bring 3 pair, you're going to stay.
Exactly.
And because 3 pair usually will last you at least a week.
Right.
You know, by the time you turn them out and everything. So, but it's a great event. Your listeners can go to squirrelcookoff.com. You could get registered online. The rules are online. There's pictures there of previous events. There's a little tabs on the side where you can click on it. You can see a lot of the videos and media that we've been involved with over the years. When we had Andrew Zimmern come out for Bizarre Foods, of course, he eats every part of the squirrel, and I mean the boy parts and the thinking parts. And he's just one of those type of guys. And we had a great time filming that. We did the Ozark edition. We went bear hunting, and we went fish gigging and everything. And he really, I owe a lot of the popularity of our event to them filming that show. I found out it cost $42.36 to send T-shirts to Australia, and my $6 shipping and handling just didn't cut it. But hey, I don't want to wear y'all out unless you want me to, but I'm telling you that the most important thing and the moral of this story is we need to get these kids out there. We need to put a firearm in their hand and teach them the proper way how to use it and trust in them. We were kids. We turned out good. Our parents trusted us. I think a lot of parents stopped trusting kids because of too much watching TV and thinking that everybody's bad out there. That's not the case. I guarantee you we probably 99% of our population is amazing people. The 1% get all the TV time.
Yep.
And we just need to focus on all the good. And boys, hunting and fishing, like I said, it'll keep you out of trouble. And the only trouble you're going to get is whenever you come home late and you were supposed to mow the lawn and your wife's on you. But we can get over that.
We always ask for forgiveness, never permission, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
I don't want to
now.
take her hunting. She always asks if she could go hunting, and I'm afraid if I take her, she's going to like it too much. And
and suddenly your alone time has been compromised.
You bet. And I tell her all the time, baby, if you want to learn how to hunt, you got to learn how to clean these things first. And then she don't want to go through step number 1 to get to step number 2. So I'm pretty safe on that.
Got this figured out, Joe.
Brilliant man, Joe. An absolute brilliant man.
And I hope that you're on the Chamber of Commerce for the Bentonville city there, because you're doing a great job of selling your town.
Now, hey,
joy to talk
I'll tell you what. When the Wall Street Journal called me and they said, would it be okay if they come and showcase the Squirrel Cook-Off? And I said, absolutely. And they said, well, we'll give you the front page of the Wall Street Journal. And to be honest with you, I'd never even bought one of them things before. And I said, yeah, come on out. And well, the mayor called me that next day, and he said, I think you think you're stepping into some pretty good stuff here with the Wall Street Journal coming. He said, all they're going to do is drag you through the mud and make you look like a hillbilly. And I said, the last time the Wall Street Journal come to Bentonville, I said, it was when a guy named George Bush gave a guy named Sam Walton the Medal of Freedom. And I said, if it takes a redneck and squirrels to do it, I said, someone here in town ain't doing their job.
Exactly.
And so it was a few days later, the Wall Street Journal come and they put me on the front page. And my mom was real proud because I didn't have to file bankruptcy or kill anybody to get on that front page. And all I had to do was cook squirrels. And hey, I'll tell you what, there was some fine folks in Florida that called me the day after, and they congratulated me on getting that front page. And they said, we'd like to send you a plaque with it on there. Do you want mahogany or oak? I said, that mahogany's nice. And they said, what kind of trim? They gave me the option of gold or silver. I said, silver would be good. They sent it to me, and a month later sent me a bill for $380.
I forgot to tell you, those Floridians are some dirty fellers.
Yeah, and I'd already hung it on the wall, and I didn't want to take it off. So I sent them a truck payment and called it good. But, yeah.
That's how we get you down here. The old front page Wall Street Journal trick.
Yeah. Well, that's the last time that deal's going to happen to me, I'm pretty sure. But what else you got? Any more questions? Let's talk about whatever you want to.
Joe, I was noticing on the Squirrel Unlimited site, there are a handful of recipes on there. Do you have a favorite one of your own?
Well, I would go with a gumbo, and I just think that the squirrel breaks down in the gumbo. We all know that gumbo's better the second day anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Those small bones off of the saddle, they settle in the bottom of your Dutch oven down there, so you really don't have to pick through it. It kind of debones itself. I'm a big Cajun style food, Creole food type guy. Locally, my little girl, she's been eating squirrel and dumplings since she was old enough to really chew on stuff. And it's funny hearing her talk to her friends about what her favorite thing is. And she'll say squirrel and dumplings. My little girl, she's had a 410 shotgun since she was 6. And I carry her out and watch her hunt. And she's the prettiest girl and sweet and gets good grades. And she can defend herself in a conversation about guns.
Nice.
She knows the proper way to use it. She knows the way to clean it, and she knows that it's in the safe that she has to ask for me to open the safe. So we've been doing things right, and I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of this country for still allowing us to do what we've always been able to do, and I think everybody gets so timid thinking that a big gray wolf or something's going to come and take these things from us. There's a lot of us people out here who've been living by it. They feed their family by it. They protect their family by it. And I don't believe that we're in absolute jeopardy of losing this deal. There's way too many of us. But it's like I'm telling y'all, we can't lose a generation. We can't lose several generations of it. And it just takes support. I know I'm not going to get support from the big guys. Remington ain't going to come knocking on my door and say, hey, we like what you're doing, let's help, because I've reached out to them.
Right.
I've reached out to all of these organizations or big corporations trying to get support, and they kind of push me off. I have been fortunate of working with Benjamin and Crossman on their air rifles.
Right.
Air rifles is a great choice. A 22 caliber air rifle has the knockdown power, everything you're going to need to hunt small game. They're quiet. They're, in the most case, they're somewhat light. I think a standard rifle is probably still lighter in a lot of cases. But it's a good deal. It's not scary for the novice parents who are giving their kids something. Out of all honesty, it's every bit as dangerous,
Right,
I mean, a 22 air rifle is a powerful piece of equipment. I think if you're going to buy your kid a pellet rifle to start with, I would buy them a good one. There's a lot of junk out there. So spend $100 or more, get this thing, and buy those pellets. You're never going to run out of them. They're always going to sell pellets at the store. And show them how to hit a piece of paper. By all means, teach them on paper and cans and everything else before you take them out and try to wound something. We want kids to be accurate when they're shooting. Locally I do about 6 or 7 squirrel derbies a year, or squirrel rodeo, whatever you want to call them. It's a great way for parents and their children to get out and work together, trying to get the most weight on squirrel. And we have a big weigh-in, and we give away prizes. And at the end of it, we have a big cookout. It's a good competition. Up in New York, they have it. I'm sure you read about it every year whenever the fire department throws their big squirrel derby up there, and a bunch of people come out and throw a fit over the deal. I bet you all those people own 2 or 3 cats.
Yeah.
And those 2 or 3 cats probably kill more squirrels in a year than all the hunters combined.
That's exactly right.
So, hey, you and both of you guys and me, we got a lot in common. We're passionate about the children. We're passionate about the outdoors. And I know your listeners, if they're listening to you, they must be passionate about it. Yeah. And we just need to keep on keeping on. It doesn't matter if it's perch jerking or squirrel catching or catching a marlin fish. Let's keep these generations going and show them why we love what we do.
Rodney, did you have a question from one of the listeners?
Yeah, I was going to shoot it at him real quick. And you may have saw it when I posted one of your videos. Chris Eichleman sent us. It says, Rodney, I have an 8-year-old daughter that is begging me to take her hunting. She has been through the basics of shooting with me, and I really don't know where to start for her for hunting. I myself started with squirrels, which she's fine with to engage, but I honestly have no idea where to take her legally or how to approach. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated. I'm pretty lost since it's been a while since he's done it. So I was going to see what your opinion was. He's got an 8-year-old daughter, and he just wants to start her. And I think you summed it up pretty good to start with the shooting on paper and that good stuff.
Well, I think you all got about 1.2 million acres in your part of the country there
5.5
that are open to hunting.
5.5
5.5 and in the whole state, right?
Yeah, in the whole state. I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, and your region right there, I think it's like 1.2. I've got Google.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're on it. Okay. I apologize for questioning your Googleness.
We upgraded from the dial up a couple weeks ago. I can figure this all out. You got about 1.2 million right around there, and we've discussed that your season starts in October. Well, in the evening time before the mosquitoes come out, I would set up something. Start off at about 20 feet with that air rifle. Or with a 22. And, an air rifle, you can get by with it in almost any area unless you live in some apartment complex. But, take these kids and start them off about 20 feet away. Show them, hey, eye protection, important. We all should use it. If it's a cool pair of sunglasses or a pair of them goofy-looking weed-eating goggles, just put something on. We've watched the show every Christmas for the last 40 years. You'll shoot your eye out. We don't need none of that.
Yep.
Right.
So put them glasses on. Have your kid draw their own target. Have them draw something on that sheet of paper. That's another skill that they got. They're learning how to interact. They're drawing something. If they draw it, they're going to put a point on that target that they're going to want to shoot. My daughter, whenever I started showing her, she was highly intimidated by the gun because of TV showing bad things all the time. So, hey, that first shot, you need to stand there with them. You need to show them how to do it. Now, the hunting side of it, I would suggest you make the first kill. And whenever you do it, show your emotions. Explain to the child that this thing was living and now you've harvested it. Since you've harvested it, what are you going to do with it? Squirrels, 100% can be used. The tails get sent to MEPS. MEPS uses the tails to make the dressing on treble hooks for their MEPS spinners. The kid's going to get a quarter out of that squirrel tail. You can't get a quarter playing a video game.
Exactly.
Wow.
Show them how to skin it out. Skinning it out, there's tricks. You could go to YouTube. You could find tricks. There's equipment that you could use to help hang these squirrels. I tell people all the time, when you have a squirrel, go ahead and have a bucket of water sit next to you. Submerge the squirrel in the bucket of water, and that's going to keep the hair off of the meat. It'll all mat down. It'll be a cleaner operation. And then at the end of it, enjoy your child helping you cook it. And if they can taste it and they see that it was for a meaning, they're going to appreciate it for the rest of their life. And, as a sportsman, we remember every rock and every creek that we caught a fish by. Exactly. We remember a tree in the middle of a million of them where we shot a deer. We can remember that stuff for our whole lives. These are memories that we're going to have with our children that we won't even know how much we've imprinted ourselves in their brains, but they're all going to be good memories. So don't get overly excited if your kid's not hitting paper. Take your time. Take your time with them, and don't ever punish them for not being good at this. It's taken you 30 years to be able to shoot good. And so it's a slow process. And I remember the first thing I ever shot whenever I was a kid, and it was a little old bird, and I shot at it probably a half a dozen times with a BB, and finally I got it, and it hit the ground, and I started crying.
I did the same.
Because I killed this deal. I run in the house, grabbed my mom's big gravy spoon, dug a hole, buried it, said a small prayer over the top, and I went hunting
dude.
for another one.
We should be hunt brothers for sure.
And thus a hunter was born.
And thus a hunter was born. Exactly.
And so that could happen to his daughter. You know, she could harvest, and she realizes what she's just done. She's taken a life. And so, you know, emotions happen during this deal. And I'll tell you a funny story. This last year when we filmed for CBS Sunday Morning out of New York, that's a completely non-hunting show. And they could have got Jim Shockey, or they could have got Uncle Ted, or whatever. Right. They got Joe the Squirrel Man Wilson. And so they didn't know what they were up against. And I took them down on the creek bank, and they set up about 6 high-definition cameras and enough lights to find a frog on the surface of the moon. And they started giving me the hard questions. And the first question out of the box was, what did I think about Cecil the lion? And I said, well, I think that today I'm hunting Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, and you can spin that however you want. And so they asked why I didn't just go to the grocery store and buy my meat besides killing stuff. And I told them I wasn't smart enough to answer that, because I felt like all the animals at the store must have drank water and ate feed and was a living animal. So they'd have to ask somebody else. And he said, oh, come on, you eat fast food, don't you? And I said, absolutely. An antelope will do 35 miles an hour. And so then we get to the point to where they couldn't beat me at this game. So now they said, let's go squirrel hunting. And about 60, 70 yards down the creek bank, this little old gray squirrel come out for a drink. And I said, boys, there's one right there. And they said, can you hit it that far? And I said, oh, yeah, in the face. And so I took a shot at it. And whenever I pulled the trigger, I guess all them lights and HD cameras and all that was playing havoc with me, because I kind of broadsided this deal a little bit. And whenever I did, this squirrel let out a scream. It was just a, ah! And as soon as it did this, they put them cameras even closer to my face, and now this squirrel's crawling across the gravel like a 3-toed sloth. And it's heading to the bushes, and I throw in another one, and I miss the second time. And they said, what are you feeling? What's your emotions? I said, my emotions is I'm upset. And he said, because you wounded that animal? I said, no, because I missed twice. And he said, why does that make you so mad? I said, because I was going to skin it, cook it, put it in a brown paper bag for you to put on that airplane and take back to Manhattan. And so for the next 2.5 hours, we hunted. And I must have seen 100 squirrels, but I figured it wasn't worth my house being burnt down by PETA. So I just didn't point or shoot at nothing. A coyote jumps in front of me about 6 feet, turns around, looks over his shoulder at me like, man, what's wrong with you? How come you ain't shooting? I looked at the cameraman and I said, that sure is a beautiful coyote. And it just walked off confused, thinking, what the hell just happened to this guy? So yeah, I do real well on TV, man. I could play the part.
Oh, that's funny.
Joe, I got to tell you, you're my kind of man.
funny stuff, man.
So, well, all right. Well, I'll let you fellas go, and I'll see you September 10th in beautiful downtown Bentonville, Arkansas. Bring an empty stomach, 2 pair of underwear, a camera, and you don't need a passport or nothing. We'll let you straight in.
Joe, I cannot thank you enough, and I know you and I are going to get along fine.
What a pleasure.
We're going to be talking to you a heck of a lot more. I sure
All right,
appreciate the
boys,
call,
well, call me anytime if you need to fill some space and whatever. We could talk about Little Debbie treats or whatever you want.
Before the event, we're going to have you on again. There's no doubt in my mind.
Joe, what a pleasure having you on, my friend.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Woo!
And that's a wrap.
I'm not even sure if I can even compose myself right now.
A couple things. Let me wrap up with a couple things.
Let's
Number
do
one,
it.
the video we showed earlier was done by the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission.
Yes.
So I want to give them credit for that. We stole a snippet out of that, but I really thought it set the mood for Joe's entry into our conversation tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was perfect.
And I found one more thing when I was looking at the mission statement for Squirrels Unlimited on their website tonight. And reading that, it's Joe's personality to the nth degree. But let me read this real quick.
Absolutely.
It says, SQU, or Squirrels Unlimited, is dedicated to the recognition and promotion of the squirrel as one of mankind's gifts from our Creator, which by its presence does enhance our pleasure on earth, satisfies some of our various hungers, and typifies the value and importance of qualities worthy of our imitation, such as hard work, tenacity, and a sense of humor.
Amazing.
I love that.
I love it. Absolutely.
One had to read that on tonight's show because that was just summarized very, very well.
Mike, I'd like to improve upon this show, but I think we've absolutely nailed it.
Joe, thank you so much for your time with us tonight.
And everybody for listening. Next week, we'll have another awesome show. Tune in every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Find us on iTunes. And, of course, if you have any questions, shoot us over at RodneyRogersOutdoors.com. And as my mama said 18 million times.
Say it like you mean it, Rodney.
And I pray I get to say it half as much. You kids get outside and stay.